Oh, I should probably pause that.
Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Matt, and I'm here, joined here live today with both Richard and Dave. And this is the eSellerCafe e-commerce news roundup. So what has been going on in the past week in the news arena for e-commerce? We're going to be looking at the top 11 articles today. And Matt's got his timekeeper hat on for us this week. So target is about 40 minutes, which is 3.6 minutes per articles, gents.
But what about time for intros and outros?
Yeah, what's a point?
Yeah,
what's a 0.6 minute? Is that 40 seconds?
Yes. So we're going to kick off. We're going to get straight into the first topic of today. Remember, if you've got any questions or comments about anything which we've covered in this live chat, remember you can ask that either in the live version on the right-hand side of your screen, and also keep in the back of your mind that underneath this video, if you click on Show More, links to all the articles which we're covering here live with you are in there, so you can either leave a comment here on YouTube, or you can leave a comment on the relevant article over on eSellerCafe.com. So, Richard, eBay partners with Spring for fashion. What's this about, and how does that impact us?
Yeah, it's actually kind of one of those that falls in that question. How does it impact us? It almost seems, I have to be honest, this is one of the articles I didn't quite understand why they did what they did, because Spring to me is sort of a marketplace and that works with other brands to sell products for them through drop shipping. And so then they started, when you go online, you can see when they joined eBay, they joined them like 4 months ago. And then they made this big deal that, oh yeah, we're partnering with them to provide all these brands. But some of these brands that they sell on their own marketplace, they're not going to be able to sell on eBay due to legal restrictions. And so it's not the 1,500 brands, it's only like 300 brands, but it's going to be some top brands. And right now, the store in the 4 months have been operating has 1,100 and some odd feedback. Well, maybe it's higher than that now. And 93% are positive. So it has a huge number of negative feedbacks too, which is probably because it was drop shipping. It also says in most of the listings I looked at, 6 to 9 days to get product, which is like what nowadays forever,
Richard, can I just jump in and just add a bit of perspective to that? There's many massive eBay accounts out there which do leverage drop shipping for parts of their business, and they don't end up with 93%.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my business uses a lot of drop shipping, and I was nowhere near that. So I have to be. This is an odd one to me, and it got played on CNBC and everywhere. And Spring apparently has a lot of investment money behind it. They have, I think I read, almost 100 employees. It's just an odd one, I really don't know what to make out of it. And I just hope it's not the beginning of some of these bad ideas that the old management had, where they just sort of like Toys R Us was one that they brought on and just had horrendous customer service on eBay. And there was a number of these other brands that under the Donahue years, I just hope we're not going down this path somehow. I hope eBay is taking a little better approach at it this time and maybe working with these people to make sure that their customer service, because to me, they shouldn't even qualify as an eBay seller the way they are right now. Yeah,
that's below Chinesium sellers here for him coming into the United Kingdom, like 97.8, and that's really bad. To be frankly honest, but 94%, that's just horrific.
Yes.
Most sellers have got kicked off by now, would they not?
Yeah, I think so. That's why I was, when I looked at it, I thought I'm in the wrong place. And I went back and said, no, it's the right location. It's the right store. It's from their story. And it's like, okay, we'll see. We'll watch a little bit. I'm just afraid. I'm just hoping it's not the beginning of one of those bad ideas that they've tried before and that didn't work. And they've done some good things. I guess they can have a failure in there. This is not looking good so far.
No, not looking good. Right, Dave, next topic.
Yes,
Darkstore makes a partnership with T-Force Final Mile for expansion. What's that in English?
Well, I
won't use T-Force.
It's an American thing. Darkstore, third-party logistics company out in America. They have partnered with T-Force Final Mile in order to utilize sort of speedy delivery, same-day delivery options. Darkstore sort of follow this invisible retailer model, utilizing overcapacity of inventory. They've been crowdsourced, so they've taken on obviously a lot of funding, and that is what has expanded or helped go after this expansion with T-Force. They've also done deals with UberRush, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and Deliv, who we talked about last week. Yeah, it's just another one of those. It's another company who sees disruption in the delivery space, especially when it comes to same-day deliveries. Obviously, it's becoming more and more important, especially here in the UK. It's bound to come to the US sooner or later once. Obviously, there's a much larger geographic location issue to contend with, and that's what the likes of Darkstore are working with. You know, utilizing fulfillment centers or different locations and partnering with different delivery companies. So it's just one of those. Again, I was in a conversation last week with a chap from South Africa who was asking me about how. Who can basically compete in the UK with same-day delivery with Amazon? And I'm like, right now, not many. The supermarkets are the closest. But, as you know, without doing partnerships with people with warehouses and then specialist delivery companies or like Uber's, Deliveroo's, and whoever else, Amazon is unique in the fact it owns the whole space. So it's one of those. Who knows?
Okay, so one to keep an eye on.
Very much so, yeah. See what they do.
And the same, by the way, the links to both these articles, which we've just discussed, is in the video description below for you. The spring for fashion is going to be a curious one longer term to see if it hangs around or it doesn't, because unfortunately it does represent you as a community of businesses who sell onto eBay. Just one of them is not holding up their end of the bargain right now. Moving on, Shopify. We heard about Shopify a couple of weeks back with a full-blown eBay integration. We saw a song and dance about it, but it wasn't being released until later on this year. Dave, I presume they're still making Shopify continues to make e-commerce growth, so they're plowing on.
It's another one of those. It's a continued growth from Shopify. Unsurprisingly, really. The share value just keeps growing as more people get involved on the platform, start selling on the platform. It's one of those. I think they've had a 500% growth since their initial purchase offering, the IPO. It's just going from strength to strength, and it's one that we mentioned, Matt, a few weeks ago, how they've in the past sort of 3 years gone from relative obscurity to now being one of the leading e-commerce website platforms out there, competing with the likes of Magento, WordPress, and all the others. It is impressive, and there's talks of is it now in a position to be an acquisition target for people like Amazon, for Walmart, and ultimately it's a case of Shopify have done incredibly well on their own. Would it take away from, would it take them off track?
I'm going to butt in there. Could this be the answer to what Amazon had a really good go at and completely just fell flat on their faces? Sorry, Amazon, because that's just the basic summary of what happened. With the Amazon web stores, which were not very good.
Absolutely.
Could Shopify be the step in Mr. Bezos and his team are looking for?
Well, my only counter to that would be with Amazon. I know that their name always comes up with Shopify when they talk about somebody purchasing Shopify. Is that how do you integrate it into Amazon? It wouldn't make it seems like now what Amazon is doing is they're looking for integrations, and you'd have to now take this thing that grew out of its own through its own ideas, and then all of a sudden mold it back into an Amazon sort of product, because web stores was getting hits through the Amazon.com website, supposedly. But
yeah, Richard, I agree with you. That is one of the curious ones. So the Amazon web store was directly integrated into Amazon, and that was actually its Achilles heel, if that makes sense. It is because it was directly linked in, and everything worked off their tags and things like that. So it just didn't work out from that point of view. So maybe if they, and again, we know that eBay cannot cope with a tool like this or an offering like this. Pro stores Magento, for example, they've got an history. Unfortunately, have a history of failed buying tools like this off the shelf, and things haven't worked out. Maybe it's time for Amazon to have a stab at it and now they've tried doing it internally. They keep it like at arm's length, if that makes sense. Keep it away from like the core of their business, and do a decent integration between the pair, but still keep it open for all in the background. Maybe that is the right route for them. So we don't what we had.
Yeah, I have another thought on Shopify. I think it'll be the next marketplace.
Do you reckon?
The portal that'll become a portal for marketplace portal, like, because they have grown so much, and they own all the data now. At this point in time, they're consolidating a lot of stuff, and they're working, and making everything more the display of everything. Why wouldn't they be able to down the road say, okay, we're now going to start an opt-in marketplace mall, basically through Shopify product listings?
It's funny you should say that. That's the idea which I had at MarketWorks over 10 years ago. Too long ago to take the business's inventory. You've got a rough idea on categorization and to create it into a separate site, and it's pre-populated with inventory data. It's kind of like what Flubbit needed in the original days. Nuts.
Right.
Crazy. So yeah, Shopify, definitely one to watch. Links to that article is in the video description for you. Again, trying to keep the pace up today. Dave, we've got Black Friday coming up.
We have. I mean, a lot of people think
business owners prepare for it. Sorry.
No, that's it. People think we're talking way in advance here, but we're in the middle of September now. Black Friday's couple of months away, about 9 weeks away, maybe. It's one of those. It will be here before you know it, and preparing to getting your preparation in place right now will put you in the best possible position to make the most of the increase in traffic, increase in sales, and hopefully increase in profit. So in this article, I talk about the main sort of the top 5 things that we've seen over the past few years about being able to prepare effectively for Black Friday. Basically, making sure you're mobile optimized more and more. eBay and Amazon both mention it more. More people are browsing on mobile than ever before. The same goes for your website. Make sure it's optimized for mobile. Cart optimization, again, make sure, if there's ever going to be a point where someone is going to bounce away from the checkout or bounce away from the sale, it's on the checkout page. Make sure your checkout page is, again, optimized, whether that be one-page checkout or just make it intuitive. And don't try and trap people in by making them create accounts and all that sort of stuff. Let them check out as a guest. Again, it's all just very obvious, good practice stuff to bear in mind. Thirdly, prepare stock. Yeah, absolutely, Richard. Keep it simple. It is. It's all simple stuff, but it's amazing. I summed up e-commerce as simplicity done perfectly. There's nothing crazy about e-commerce. It's very, very simple things. Just doing it properly is how you win. But yeah, number 3, stock. Again, I don't want to be telling you to suck eggs here, but it's a case of make sure you've got enough stock. You don't want to be running out the week before Black Friday and then not being able to get any more in until after the D-Day. 4th, marketing plan. Like I said, you've now got 9 or 10 weeks. Now is the perfect time to start scheduling out your marketing, either whether it be email, social, blog posts, videos, whatever it may be. Get a plan together. What are the key things that you can target? Key stock, selling points that you want to hit. Again, planning is key here. And finally, build a team. The thing that is going to scale any business quicker than anything else is having hands on deck, extra man hours, and building that team now so you can train them up, get them ready. Is best case scenario. Don't hire them a week before Black Friday and then wonder why orders are going missing, things aren't getting sent out properly. It's because you haven't trained them in enough time. Get them in now.
Don't know. There's Richard nodding his head.
Mm-hmm.
There's me nodding my head. we know these things. We're sure that you know these things as well.
That's it. To us, it all seems very obvious because we've all seen our fair share of Black Fridays and Christmases. But if this is your first year trading, these are the things that you really should be focusing on.
And if you can't afford a team, put some family on standby to help you.
Absolutely. Rope in the neighbors, rope in the kids, whatever it is. Get the hands on
speed dial, you know the drill.
Yes.
Okay. Dave, also we're chatting there. Royal Mail, planning ahead for Christmas as well. And again, you mentioned we're talking about Black Friday. Let's take one extra step in towards Christmas. Not that far away. Somebody awkwardly posted on Facebook's 100 days to go to Christmas. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that's cheery, isn't it? As if Christmas doesn't last long enough. But yeah, this is again very similar-ish post to the one that I did on Black Friday prep. But this was from Royal Mail. So again, if you're in the UK, Royal Mail, again, goes without saying who those guys are. Basically, the USPS of England. Yeah, they were talking about making looking into domestic and international sales. Again, seasonality is very, very key here. Whilst it might be cold, snowy, and wet and windy here in the UK, Australia is lining up their summer. So again, if you're selling seasonal products, bear that in mind. Is there opportunities overseas that you can be utilizing? Also, post-Christmas dates. So that doesn't mean after Christmas dates. That means let your customers know the last cutoff dates in order to guarantee delivery before Christmas. That is always the big thing. And again, it's always, keep your eye on the weather. Be good with, if we do have some weird snowstorm, remember it only takes an inch to close Manchester Airport here in the UK. So again, it's always good to have a plan. Always add in a buffer. Remember, as with anything in business, but especially e-commerce, it is a case of under promise, over deliver, always. And finally, UK sellers should use local collect. Again, it's that time of year. There's so many systems out there now. Again, Amazon utilize lockers fantastically well, but click and collect with Argos and Sainsbury's, it's one of those. Give people as many options as possible, which so they can pick the one which suits them. If they're not going to be home and they know they're not going to be home, but they literally drive past a click and collect point on the way home from the office, put it there. Give them that option so they can pick it up at a convenient time for them.
Yeah, because going to the post office is a absolute royal pain in the rear.
I'm gonna add two little quick things to this. Number one is that I'm start working on a calendar. I'll try to see if I can get it finished this week. I think USPS was lagging behind, shockingly, on actual dates when things have to be shipped by. I have them from FedEx. I have them from UPS. I have the Royal Mail version. I'm trying to get the U.S. Postal Service in there to kind of create a worldwide, maybe try to find Australian Post, something like that, a worldwide calendar of at least major postal systems. That's number one. And number two, if you're in the UK, I'd say if you have some, if you're not sure about some of these deadlines or how to maybe best handle your logistics, especially if you're first year, I think you did a really cool solution spotlight on Parcel Station.
Yes.
And they can help you with that too. So we'll just kind of give them a plug here. Because they seem to work with all the different carriers and should know a lot of the different delivery times, worldwide. So that's the other quick point here.
Absolutely.
You find them in our link on the solutions.
Yep.
Right. By the way, remember links to every article which we're chatting about is in the video description. The next article is again from Dave. Now, Dave, this is no big surprise when we get the numbers out in a moment for this one. No. Product reviews help in ranking online businesses. Now, again, Dave, before you dive into this one, it's absolutely unbelievable that we would trust a review of somebody we would never, ever, ever meet. Keep that in the back of your mind.
Absolutely. And that's the interesting thing now. This article may sound incredibly obvious, and it is, but the main point of this was to ram home the numbers, like Matt just mentioned. It is crazy, the numbers that we're talking here. 84% of shoppers trust product reviews. It also produces new content for web pages as well. If you've got a buyer to leave a review, it's fresh content. Google thinks that's great. It's good for SEO. And also, again, Amazon were leading the way with this for years. Star reviews, number reviews, anything that's visual, easy to judge. You don't have to read paragraphs of text. You can just go, 4 stars, 5 stars. That's good. 1 star. That's not good. So again, and like you said, Matt, it is an interesting point how 84% of shoppers trust reviews left, and that is, like I said, these are absolute strangers. You've got no reason to trust them, but I think it comes from a place of they've got no reason to lie. You know, if they've bought a product, it's made them feel one way or the other in order for them to leave a review. So if it is a good review, it clearly must have been good enough for them to go out of their way and write a couple of sentences and tell you how good it is. Likewise, if it's not been a good experience, they've clearly felt strongly enough about it to warn other people that this was not a good experience. So I think the whole nature of online reviews sort of brings about that element of trust, because it's like, well, why would anybody write a false one? Now, obviously, the falsifying of reviews is a very different topic altogether, you know, and manufacturers writing their own false reviews. But again, if you're looking at an Amazon, you know, product or whatever eBay product now, and it has 300 reviews and 280 of them are positive, I can assure you they've not gone and left 270 fake reviews. It's that social proofing piece. It all works very nicely.
Yeah. Social proofing, and I'm just picking one. You can look this up yourself. Look it up on uk.trustpilot.com, Hobby King, and 272 reviews, bad. 70% of their reviews are bad. So we're talking about reviews have a positive impact. Also, unmanaged reviews also can have a negative impact. So might be worth looking up your company on sites such as Trustpilot, FIFO, and other companies like that to see if anybody has been leaving reviews for you and your business, because they may be out there and it might be as bad as this. If I could give them 0 stars, I would do. For 2,000 euros, I was ... and I can tell you that was bad. Stay away from this company. Excessive shipping time, deceiving shipping and tax. That's not kind of the comments which you'd want to wear. So just to add on to Dave's article, which he's got there, is do a quick search on your company name and seeing what's being said out there.
Well, and one thing about reviews to add to is, remember, this year eBay really put a lot of effort into adding reviews, not only to well, they started last year with the UPC-EN codes on individual listings, but now with their product pages and being able to leave reviews in the US and UK now that are not directly on the listing, but on the product page. So therefore, it's not directly impacted your listing, but the actual product itself. So they have seen the value in this, and clearly, I mean, I can tell you, I buy a lot of things from Best Buy, and every time I buy something, I get hounded with, please leave a review, please, you know, and so there's a definitive advantage that retailers have seen doing that, and if you're not doing it, you know, it's probably you're missing out on potential, you know, of generating some sales and or seeing a trend of something that may not be worth carrying. Maybe you start realizing what I'm selling here is junk, you know, and it's creating a bad vibe for your company, and maybe you just need to get rid of it silently, quietly, and move on to something else.
Indeed. Now, the next topic which we've got, taxation into Europe. Richard, what's going on with this one?
I seem to love these taxation stories because
I'm
a libertarian anti-tax person. I sit there and go like, no, not again. Now, the latest scheme by our friends in Brussels, or at least a couple of them in the EU, is that you know, a couple of the countries in the EU, Ireland and Luxembourg, have these really low taxes for corporations. And so the French, the Germans, the Italians, and the Spanish finance minister decided, well, we need to even out the method, because they may be, you know, located in Ireland, but they're doing business in Germany and France. So now we need to figure out how much of the percentage of the business is done in these various other countries, and then we need to have a taxation plan that's based upon the percentage of the revenue generated in these countries. And I just sit there and go like, you know, if you people had anything better to do with your life, I mean, really, honestly, it's ridiculous. What it does show, and the main reason I wrote this article is because in the United States, we have similar fights about sales tax. You guys have a big VAT fight right now, I think, going on last week in England. I was going to actually read up on. you know, we are probably heading into an era of where we have to rethink taxation. Because the one thing I will say with this particular article, the French, the four Frenchmen suggested maybe create a system based on top revenue versus profit. Not the taxation would be on the profit, but to determine how much business is done in each country would be based on top revenue. There have been ideas like this in the United States that looked at using gross revenue only as a taxation platform, and not even looking at profits. You know, there are all kinds of pros and cons. But the reality is e-commerce is what is really happening is e-commerce is pushing all these governments and looking and figuring out how to deal with it. Because prior to e-commerce, it was, you know, international commerce was basically container shipments. You know, now all of a sudden we have these partial shipments, like we talked about, I think it was last week, with the number of parcels that are globally. And they're looking for ways of how to make it. So this particular story about, you know, profits of Amazon and Google and others are not involved, and some others are not involved in e-commerce. But the reality is, you know, yeah, there needs to be some, you know, some fairer system possibly. But at the same time, you know, you sit there and go like, okay, guys, you know, what do you want global trade, which is great. But then you come back and try to stifle it, and that's the part I don't understand, you know. And we got to come up with everybody. I mean, nobody has an answer, and it's probably going to go on for hundreds of years. But it just seems like, you know, between the VAT fight and now this potential, and I read just this morning that some other countries now jumped on the same bandwagon, you know. But we'll see. You know, it's just another one of these taxes.
I mean, we famously had that GST issue over in Australia with what they were what the government proposed to do there with online. Again, it got thrown out because there was no real way of enforcing it. Basically, Amazon and eBay turned around and went, we're not taking tax. You know, we're not doing your tax returns for you. So again, like you said, something needs to give for sure. What it is, who knows?
One of those ones to watch. So that's definitely one of the future ones. Dave, moving on to the next topic. Now, we do have a couple more topics to go. We're making excellent headway today, gents. Amazon's private label driven by device and fashion sales. So,
indeed,
private label, just for those of us which are not entirely sure, what do we mean by private label? And we've also got some Amazon Elements grew by 266%. That's a huge amount.
Yeah. So, Amazon Elements is one of Amazon's private labels. It's one of their more obvious ones because it does have Amazon in the name. A bit like Amazon Basics. Again, another Amazon private label. It's their own brand.
Oh, this reminded me, I need to go and order the new iPad charger, which will be one of the Amazon Basic ones because it was great.
Yeah, they are. They do really good things. Now, again, it's Amazon's private label numbers are increasing. Now, as we mentioned, Amazon Basics, again, with like batteries and with phone accessories and stuff like that, do fantastically well. I've got an Amazon Basics car USB adapter in my car. It's brilliant. It has 2 USBs to the car. I think really useful. Amazon Elements, again, this was something they were working on with the TV, I believe, their 4K thingy TV. Which had the Amazon Instant Video built in and all the rest of it, Netflix as well, I believe. So, you know, they do have these private labels, but again, there's also the lesser known ones with the less obvious names. So they've got Scout and Row, which is their children's line of clothing. They also have, I think it's Lark and Row, which is their female fashion brand. And again, those, you know, if you were to order from them, you just think, oh, this is a new brand I've not heard of, but looks nice. It's actually Amazon. It's a private label from Amazon. And again, this is Amazon has just sort of acknowledged that yes, they can be selling as Amazon, but also building a brand is something which they shouldn't be missing out on either, which is why we're seeing more and more of these Amazon owned brands or private labels, as we see, and they are really making a big impact on the Amazon marketplace. And like I said, I do expect that we will see more of them as Amazon spots opportunities in different categories. You can remember that they're sat on the data. They know what products to go after. They know what categories are selling well. For them, it's a very cheap move to go over to a warehouse, a manufacturing plant in Taiwan, in China, and go make this.
Right.
They have the logistics, they have the cash. It's very easy for them.
And crucially, they have the data, so they know which ones to go and do that
Exactly.
to.
Exactly. They've got everything.
And I think there's, I think I started working on putting together all the labels that they own. There's, I think, 30 or 40 of them actually.
Wow.
They've registered quite a few. Yeah, they've registered quite a few labels. And the grocery stores here in the United States, I mean, their private label brands are some of the best profit makers for them. Obviously, if you look on the grocery side, Aldi is pretty famous for, and 99% of what they sell is private label, and 1%, So, and I mean, even Walmart has private label stuff. Target has private labels. I mean, it's, Best Buy has private label. So it's not like this revolutionary idea, but what they're doing they I guess have just never come so much up front with it, saying, we are doing all of these, and like you said, it's sort of I don't want to call it a shell game, but they're putting out these new brands, and people go, oh wow, this must be cool, and then you find out you can only buy it on Amazon. You start realizing, that's an Amazon brand. It's expected. I mean, it might impact some marketplace sellers. That's the downside of it, because they can obviously promote their private labels a lot more than the marketplace seller could be. So that's the downside of that. Again, we're going back to that. On eBay, you're not competing against eBay. Yep. On Amazon, you're competing against Amazon, and you're giving them your sales data to boot.
And they're watching you while you're doing it.
Yeah,
absolutely. So it's could be classed as sleeping with the enemy, but it's one of the challenges of Amazon. They're going to do to it. Right. You just know that they're going to do it to you, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on. Amazon one-click patent expired yesterday.
Ooh. Well, yesterday is obviously last week, and
has the one-click patent last week? I didn't see. I haven't seen eBay implement it. Let me just quickly check right now. Are they going to do for eBay? Let me just check right now. And by the way, I didn't actually buy the Amazon Basics one. I bought some different leads off Amazon. Let me just go and choose a hoodie, which I was looking. No, it's not a one-click wonder. By now,
it hasn't. It'll be interesting to see what will happen now, because there was some legal fights in the very beginning, because Amazon was able to trademark this idea that and patent this idea that you have a one-click checkout where all the information you have your default shipping and payment information. You just hit click and the whole thing just goes through. And there's a lot of people who believe that conversion will improve by that, because you no longer have checkout friction, which is actually what we talked about just a few articles ago. Is you make sure your checkout is smooth. So if you're running with Magento or WooCommerce or something like that, and there is an extension that now comes out and says, here's a one-click opportunity, it's maybe something to look at. Now, one click does only work if you have people with accounts, so if you're using guest accounts, it doesn't work with them, obviously. But if you have repeat customers, and you have a lot of repeat customers, one click can be beneficial. It's also been thought to be very beneficial for Amazon on the mobile shopping, because it made it just so much easier just to scroll and hit one click and boom, there goes the order.
Yeah, just match the screen, innit?
Yeah, exactly. And so 25 years later, and this is, we need to kind of look at that, how amazing that this is. 25 years ago, Amazon put this out. It's now, has expired, and it's now available for everybody to use. They did license the quote unquote technology to Apple and maybe a couple others, but for all practical purposes, it was just them. And on one end, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few months, how many people will implement it. On the other side of it, I also looked at it and go like, well, Amazon after 25 years has now moved on to voice commerce. It's like they're, instead of one click, they're saying reorder, and say whatever you want reorder, and that's it. So to some extent, they have moved on. And maybe this isn't as big of an advantage anymore as it used to be, as voice commerce becomes more prevalent. Just something to look in your extent. If you're running an e-commerce store and you're using extensions or plugins, there's no more patent issues. So now just, if you like this idea, take a look and see if somebody wrote something, because...
Indeed. Gents, how about a little bit of fun? Who would like to take a bet how long it's going to take eBay to actually implement it in their site? I've written mine on here, on my desk. On a piece of paper, really.
I bet it'd be spring 2018.
Come on, do a month.
Do a month. When's the spring?
I'm gonna go.
Usually in May. I'll go April 2018.
You got April.
I'll go fall of 2018.
Fall. All right. Well, I did January, so
right.
Maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic.
You're definitely more optimistic than Richard.
Yeah, I will say this with eBay, because the payment method has to go through PayPal. Realistically, it may not be doable in eBay until they start their own payment system, which I believe was a 20 to 20.
When you stick an item into, when you press buy it now, you get to a cart page. So one click wonder button, you click that and you just skip the cart page because you've already got the PayPal account linked.
Yeah,
so one click wonder. Yeah. When are we going to see that button? One click wonder.
One click wonder chimp.com.
Yeah. All right, there you go. One to watch. We'll see what happens in the future for that. Next, we've only got 2 topics left. Remember, links to all of these are in the video description for you. eBay US marketing fail preview. Sorry, marketing full preview.
Fail.
Richard, tell us more.
Okay, so eBay actually just highlighted some of the things they promised at eBay Open 2017 a few months ago. The smartphone season, I didn't realize there was a season. I guess it makes sense. I never dealt with smartphone sales, but this is sort of the time of year where people...
Can you just rewind that one? Smartphone season.
Yeah.
So all the new phones come out.
Yeah, when all the new phones come out.
Oh, right, okay.
And before Christmas, supposedly, because people want new phones for Christmas. So there's a season now for smartphones. So this is our pre-Thanksgiving new thing. It's a smartphone season. It starts in September. Mm-hmm. Then we have Black Friday. We're just going to come up with all these new seasons. But anyways, so we have begun smartphone season, and so they're doing a bunch of stuff there with trade-ins where they're promising, hey, if you send in your old one, we'll give you top trade-in, or you can sell it for more than anybody else. In the meantime, you can buy some new stuff, so on and so forth. So there's a promo behind that. For fashion, they've done some video things, some behind-the-scenes stuff. Those are all Facebook-based stuff, things videos that you can share on your Facebook pages. Yeah, little cutesy videos. I guess it helps. I would have liked to see them do more with fashion than that, but at least it's it's getting something out there versus nothing, which is what it was in the past. eBay Motors will be at SEMA. SEMA is the largest automotive aftermarket show here in the United States, where all the big manufacturers such as IBOC and BBS and these type of aftermarket people come and show all their wares. And they're going to do some roadshow event there. So they're going to have a big presence at SEMA, which accessories for them is a big business. They obviously just launched also the repair manuals, which is not so much bolt-on accessories as repair, but they're doing a bunch of things again to help that. Now, oddly enough, when it comes to accessories or the accessory business, that's really a spring business. It's not a Christmas business, but that's a whole nother different conversation. And Halloween landing page, they created a Halloween landing page, so I assume we're going to start seeing these type of landing pages from them, where they're going to take national holidays or national events or whatever you want to call them and turn them into a landing page, and people will be able then to sellers will be able to put their stuff as it'll show up through. I guess you really can't place it. I guess it shows up through keyword searches that they're doing, which goes back to make sure your item specifics are correct, because obviously eBay's looking for certain things in the item specifics, and item specifics is where they're getting this data. The structured data needs to be right. Then you will benefit from that. So these are just some reviews that we highlighted, I think, last week that Australia and UK are getting the Fill Your Cart with Calic campaign.
Yep.
Yeah,
the
Andrew,
US.
sorry, Richard, my bad there. Richard, I think the biggest point for like anybody watching this to take away, go and have a look at their list of the events which are coming up and think to yourself, how can I hijack them? This is
Yes.
eBay with their next couple of months and the next like key pieces kicking in. And as we've seen, eBay have done a really fantastic job of cross-platform marketing thing, running things at the same time. They've obviously got whatever company they're using for their PR stuff is doing a really good job. So how can you hijack that for you and your business? So whether it's Halloween, whether it's motors, it's SEMA, whether it's fashion video series, can you hijack any of this? And it's smartphone season. What are eBay going to be doing? Can you plan anything in advance to hijack someone else's marketing and ride upon their wave as they play through? So
absolutely, and that's what it does. You know, these are the opportunities out there, and it's either you participate or you don't. And if you don't, your sales are probably not going to be as good as people who participate. That's really what it boils down to.
Absolutely. And the last article, apologies, we are going to run over by a few moments, is Apple. Now, I've just been reading this here in the background, Richard. It was all kind of boring, and then they brought out, and again, you'll have to excuse me. You can jump in and bail me out in a moment.
Today's article.
Yeah, they a new phone. There was that one extra thing, which was nothing particularly exciting. They've done edge-to-edge screen, which has been actually what's it, the Samsung one, which goes right over the edge. That's what we've done before. Nothing really exciting. And the one bit which got me was the actual 3D gestures.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. You got to give it to them. That's cool.
It's cool. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's one of those. I was. Again, I wrote an article last week about how Apple needs one more thing. They needed that famous Steve Jobs one more thing. We've not really seen Apple innovation in a very long time. And to be fair to them, the iPhone X has some innovative features. Now, again, quickly recapping the Apple event, iWatch Series 3. Yeah, it's, you know, they told some nice stories about how the Apple Watch is now, you know, the leading phone brand in the world.
Oh, I ignored the watch completely because I thought it was completely pointless.
I found somebody that finally used the watch for something useful.
Yeah?
The time!
Yeah. Yes. No. Well, besides the time, because most people were just using it as a fancy thing. But I was actually, when I got on the plane in Austin, so it obviously had to be somebody from Austin, was able to use the Apple Watch as a boarding pass. That's the first time in all the travels I've seen.
Wow.
That's quite cool. That's quite cool. But I mean, again, they told how like the Apple Watch was, you know, the most sold brand in the world. Yeah, but I mean, you're comparing that with the likes of Rolex, Omega, Tag, Patek Philippe, who are charging tens of thousands of pounds for watches, and the Apple Watch is $300. I still prefer my good old fashioned, you know, analog style watches. But it's one of those. They told a nice story about how the heart rate function had actually managed to save people from impending heart attacks before they'd even known they were having one. So there are health benefits, and they told of it. Again, great marketing by Apple, as always. But again, you could see how there are some benefits there. But other than that, they've not really changed much, other than they've now made it a cell phone. So you can pair it with your iPhone, and you can ring people on your watch. Never felt the need. The Apple TV, nothing new. It's getting 4K. 4K's been around for a long bloody time. I don't know, you know, how that's innovative. It isn't. The iPhone 8, one more than a 7. They've now made it even more likely to smash because they've put glass all over the back as well, which does serve a purpose. It allows it to be to use wireless charging. That's the only reason that you would give it a glass back. So it's more conductive for that. And then onto the iPhone X, which again, everyone's like, oh yeah, it's so special, 10-year anniversary, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. It looks very nice. It has a nice camera. And yeah, the facial recognition is innovative. You know, we talked only a couple of weeks ago how Alipay were doing the smile to pay thing. And Apple Pay are doing that as well. You can now pay with your face. It all links in with Apple Pay. And animojis, that's a new thing, you know, the animated emojis. I mean, it's totally pointless. It has no purpose in anyday life, but I guess, you know, it's Apple are an entertainment company as much as anything else. But I just, you know, it was funny because it was like, oh yeah, we've got the edge-to-edge screen. It's like, yeah, Samsung have had that for about 2 years. We've now got wireless charging. Yeah, Samsung have been doing that for about 3 years. And it's like they were reeling off these things that they were doing, and they weren't really the first to do them. But again, the iPhone 10 does seem to be at the forefront, or certainly up there with the latest phones from Samsung.
What you're basically going to say is Apple are going to release a good phone sometime in the future, which might be on par with what the other offerings are out there.
Well, I mean, for me, I don't understand this whole wireless charging thing. If anyone can
it's brilliant. I've got it on my phone. So I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I think is absolutely brilliant. Number one, you can walk into McDonald's, put your phone on the desk, and you can charge your phone at McDonald's. That's just amazeballs.
But they also have the wires there as well. So
yeah, but the other one is that my USB socket's knackered. So that's a Google Nexus 5. So it's been around for a while, and I can just put it on the little pad on my desk, and it will charge itself.
Again, I understand that, but the problem is with wireless charging, you still have to have the phone down, so you might as well just stick a wire in it. What we really need is a wireless glove. Don't laugh, Richard. This is the forefront of what we're talking about here. We need a wireless charging glove so it can charge where you're actually bloody using the phone.
Maybe it's got a motion sensor. Maybe it's like one of those wind nut ones, but
like a kinetic energy device where you just do that with it and it charges.
In your hand, it charges it up.
I think they've missed a trick. I think wireless charging, it requires you to put the phone down, and if you actually want to use it, it then cannot charge. So I'm thinking, I should patent this. I'd give it away for free right now. Wireless charging glove.
I'll add this as a couple side marks here. One is the last 2 rental cars I had. That I was in. Let's put it that way, because we always share them. One was a freaking Prius. Okay, now I don't have a love for Prius.
A swear word to me, you that, Richard?
Yeah, it's a swear word to me. To put that thing into reverse or drive, every way you use that knob was wrong. It said, no, you have to be here in order to do this. You have to be there to do this. And then it had 3 buttons: eco versus some other mode versus power mode. And it would tell you if you hit another button, oh, you're going too fast. You can't be in this mode because you're going too. I mean, the thing was just an absolute rubbish. So then we had a Buick last weekend. Okay. My friend who was driving, who gets a rental car every week, basically couldn't get the thing from D to R because it to move over to here, over there. It's like, he goes, whatever happened, okay, to just, this is automatics we're talking about.
Yeah.
Drive, park, neutral, okay?
Yeah.
This is about as simple as it can get. Sometimes I think what happens, and he has a Chevy that is a company car that is in the shop right now, so they gave him an Acura something. He says, almost $100,000 car. He goes, I had to go. I almost opened up the instruction manual how to turn it on because it was so much crap. Okay, driving a car is simple: gas pedal, steering wheel, speedometer. And I mean, it doesn't take much. And it seems like with the phones, we're getting into a point now where we need, they're throwing things in there that are just not like you talk about the 3D emojis and stuff. What's the point? What we need is we need the phones to operate faster. We need to be able to use them better for e-commerce. We need to be able to use them better for research. We need to be able to do these. This is the, if you look back, longer battery life. If, a voice recognition needs to be improved. These are the things. Everything else is just dazzling with bullshit. That's what I call it. It's all it is. Okay. It's a nice feature.
You mean you've never needed to animate your face on a poo emoji, Richard?
No, never. It's just dazzling with bullshit. It's all it is. It's like, look what we can do, but it has no practical purpose.
I agree.
So there you go. That is the summary of the new.
Yes. He's cutting us off.
So it's time for us to wrap up.
One of the things about Apple now is, and this is the next part about, that bothers me with Apple, is when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone. How many versions were there? 2.
What? Oh yeah, 2. Yeah.
Two sizes of memory. That's it. Okay, and maybe 2 color choices. There are now, I read the other day, forget the colors, 14 different versions of of screen sizes, screens, and memory size and everything. You know, from one that cost $349 supposedly to up to $909. Apple has become now is trying to cover this huge space, you know, and the reality is they're taking the technology from 2 years ago that they just caught up to, and then selling it cheaper and say, oh, now somebody can buy an Apple product that's $349. That doesn't work any better than something they already probably had from Samsung. You know, it just because it has the Apple name on it, they're regurgitating the old technology and calling it Apple SE, you know, and that's the part that bothers me with them. I mean, they're sitting on so much money. They probably can just get away with it. And they got so many people just buy into this. I just want this crap to work. Okay, it's all I care about. I don't want to be charging my phone in a plane for 6 hours because no battery can sit there and, you know, make it through there if you use the phone all the time. You know, I just want battery life. I want the things to work, and it seems like those are the parts that, you know, very few companies are working on. That's dazzle bullshit is what we're getting in smartphones right now.
I couldn't agree more, and it is definitely time for us to wrap up now. So I'm carrying on chatting. Right, we covered a large number of topics today. 11 of those in topic, and we did really well to keep it roughly within time today. eBay partners with Spring for Fashion. A 94% seller, eBay partner with them. I don't think it's a great example, but one to watch to see what happens. Will they recover? Nobody knows. If you'd like to know like what's going on with that, links to all of these articles are in the video description for you. Darkstore partners with T-Force Final, Mile for expansion. Shopify, again, making good inroads. What's that? 500% growth since their IPO. Fantastic news there. 5 ways you can prepare your business for Black Friday. Dave's tips are on the article on the eSellerCafe.com website for you. Planning ahead again for Christmas with Royal Mail, those of you which are based in the United Kingdom. Actually, if you're not based in the United Kingdom, go and read that article anyway. And the reason why I'm saying go and read it anyway is because you might be able to pick off a few tips to use in your own country for those as well. Product reviews, no big surprise, 84% of shoppers trust reviews from people you will never meet in a million years. Crazy stuff, but the stats are there. Some of the countries, France, Germany, Italy, and Spain, talk about taxation changes for eBay and Amazon. Bit of a weird one. We don't. Again, it'll be one of those ones they chat about for ages. We'll keep you updated with that if and when anything happens about that one. Amazon private labels and fashion sales. That's definitely worth a look at that one. Fashion is one of those growth areas. It's clothing. It's a consumable to all intents and purposes. It's like haircuts, but not for that. Most people have haircuts, so it's a day-to-day product. Like it's a consumable product for all intents and purposes. Go and have a look to see what Amazon's been doing about that. One-click patent. We had the vote. So Amazon's one-click wonder button on their site for the one-click ordering. Their patent expired yesterday, or literally a week ago. My vote, or my guess, is I'm going on record here, January 2018. Richard, I think, said, what was it? No, Dave said spring 2018. Richard was slightly more pessimistic that fall or autumn.
I would go with an April. April would be my month.
Yeah, in April. Okay, I reckon they might bring it in sooner because I reckon it's only a small hack for them to do. And again, they don't need to tell sellers about this because they just need the customers just needs to press the buy button. And we've seen eBay's first to become more like Amazon. I think they're going to jump on this, and I think they're going to jump on it really quickly. So I reckon that's going to be fully implemented by January. My hunch on that one. Anyway. If you don't agree with me or you've got a guess, let us know in the comments section underneath. And 2 more topics which we were discussing. eBay marketing full preview. Go and have a look at that. See, is there anything there which you can hijack for you and your business? That's basically eBay saying that we're going to spend a shitload of cash on marketing in these topic areas. You must be thinking, right, how can I leverage or ride on the piggyback on the back of their marketing to help promote me and my business? Okay, and the last one which we talked about is that Apple has some mediocre products and an iPhone 10 which might also be classed as mediocre compared to their previous releases, and they're
It's
still
a
just
premium.
riding the wave
Premium
of a good
medium.
invention or a good product. 10 versions later, minimum 10 versions later. What can we learn from that? Keep on polishing that turd, lads. You'll roll it in glitter every week.
Oh, dude.
It is what it is. And again, Richard was saying this, like, it's a cash-rich company. They can do this for a long period of time until they hit that innovation point again. So we're just jealous. They made a lot of cash. So with that said, from myself, Matt.
For me, Dave.
From me, Richard.
Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this eSellerCafe News Roundup. We hold these every week at the same time. If you'd like to go scroll backwards, you can check out everything which we covered in this live session. I'm assuming you're watching this the live version, and you can also check on our YouTube channel for the previous versions which we've done as well for the roundups as well. So on that note, from myself, Matt, from Richard and Dave, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this live event, and we'll see you again shortly. Cheerios.
All right, see you next week, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.